Okay, let me try to do some recaps here. That was some great content, guys. Thanks much for all that. We talked about progress, and I think the thing that jumped right out at me is it's happening. Progress really is happening. A lot of things going on right across the government, and the numbers are down in terms of number of data centers out there, and we learned to count them differently, but we're still moving in the right direction. The other thing we talked about with progress is trying to do modernization and modernize as you go. It makes no sense to move old stuff into a new facility. We try to modernize and take advantage of the tool sets out there as we move along the way. I was impressed the post office is down to 2 data centers. That sounds like quite an accomplishment to me right there. And I like the fact that we have a government-wide view being taken now in collaboration between OMB and GSA. I think that will generate a lot of lessons learned and a lot of sharing and collaboration across government of what works, what doesn't work, and what are things that can and cannot be done in the future. I like the concept cloud first. Data center consolidation with the colon. Second, and we heard a little bit about network virtualization too, which I thought was an interesting topic as we move through the evolution of this. When we talked about other strategies, I think the biggest thing that came across to me with virtualization, managed service, all that, is it all has to be dealt with up front. You got to think up front how you're going to work all these into your overall strategy, because it's going to be a lot more difficult to add them as you go. In lessons learned, one thing I heard is details matter. Details are extremely important, and you need to understand expenses, you need to understand cost, you need to understand what you're going to go through. We had a lot of things about licenses. And licenses that have been carried on and been carried over year after year after year after year, maybe they're not necessary anymore. Maybe you need to restructure licenses and not just do the renewals every year because it's a convenient thing to do. We don't want to oversimplify what this is all about. This is not something where it's a simple thing and you can't vision it as I'm just going to rearrange my garage. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, a lot of work, a lot of effort that has to go in the upfront parts of this. We heard about governance came out, the fact that you need a good governance structure in there because you're going to need a lot of folks working this, and in that governance, I wrote right under it, some do all, to all do some. So you're going to get that governance structure that can enable that type of thing to happen. Culture was out there again. We hear culture in just about every show, but it is true. It is change management, and people are resistant to change. There are ways we do things, ways we've always done things, and now you're asking us to do it a little different. So that creates some challenges, and it needs to be addressed. It needs to be looked at in terms of moving forward. We heard a little bit about looking at the end state, getting a vision for what an end state may look like as part of your strategy, so that you sort of have a goal of where you're going down the road. You're not just building it along the way, hoping that at the end it all comes together. And when we talked about challenges, security was out there, money, incentivizing sharing, and ops dollars, better reporting. And when we talked about the future, what really came out to me is collaboration, agencies focusing on mission services and services to the citizen and doing things for our kids and our grandkids and those that come after us, as opposed to managing infrastructure.